Hey everybody, how's it going? This is day 2 of the Lapierre Xelius SL3 launch. We're in the south of France and today is absolutely beautiful weather.
Hello!
Smile.
You scared me, Chris. Hi. Well, I chose him to be in his view because he has a guard.
Yeah.
So it's the perfect place. The bike feels aggressive, fast, good, light.
Unlike us. Are you enjoying your ride?
Yeah, I'm enjoying my ride.
Gonna ask you to talk just as you're about to eat.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good.
When was the last time we rode together, Elias?
I think it's 5 years ago, maybe. You used to visit Holland now and then.
Yeah.
And then this happened.
Before
and
COVID.
we rode together. And it was a nice ride, I guess. A little bit hard, as always, riding with you. But...
See, I would say the same. I blame you for riding hard.
Yeah, sorry. Out-wheeling each other.
We're only a third of the way into the ride today, and most of the first part of the ride is climbing. And then after that, nice descent, I think.
I hope so.
How are you finding the bike?
It's quite light, stiff, and very reactive. I like that last part. You ask me while I'm eating. That's not nice.
It's a trick. I've done it on purpose.
But a reactive, aggressive bike, and that's what I like. So I enjoyed it.
Makes it fun to ride.
When you stand up, it feels like the bike wants to go, to accelerate.
Yeah, it's one of those, it eggs you on, it makes you want to give it more, which is nice. Elias writes for Fiets magazine in the Netherlands. So if you're watching from the Netherlands and you recognise the name, it might be why. Elias is probably better pitched to give you a review of the bike than I am.
I'm not sure. Let's say it's a draw.
Like a drone. Yeah. Well, that was as hard as I could get.
Forgive the gasping, a few of us have gotten a little bit excited going up one of the climbs. And they're not climbs like we have at home, they are gradual, really nice gradients actually for getting used to a new bike, because it's not so steep, it's not so technical, you can build up the confidence before going down the descent. A few patches of ice, but on the whole it's pretty good. It's Elias's fault we were racing. He started getting hard in the corners. So this is a press launch. I've never actually been on a press launch before. Been to lots of different cycling events, things like that, but a press launch is definitely different. You get given all the information about the bikes. Some of that will flash up on screen throughout the video to make sure that I don't misquote myself or misquote Lapierre. The amount of development that goes into these bikes is something that, of course, you're aware it happens, but until you see the stories, hear the stories, it's kind of kept away from the public. You don't get a full understanding. Like Pascal's prototype white bike over there, which you probably can't see, just for proof.
It's not a prototype, it's a pre-series.
Ah, pre-series. Yeah. Pre-series, okay, my mistake.
With a standard layup.
Okay. How many different iterations they go through as a cycling team before they settle on the 2 final variants they decided to use and then offer to the public as well. It's really interesting. Yes, forgive the gasping. It's hard work when you're not made for going uphill. And there are 4 different bikes in total, yes? 2 team bikes, limited edition and consumer?
No, the limited edition is the same as Pro Team. It's the same layup. So...
Sorry, my mistake.
No, it's okay.
I should have listened better yesterday.
Sorry?
I should have listened better yesterday.
Yeah. I saw you were sleeping.
Pascal is the PR manager for Lapierre?
Global
PR manager
I can say that.
for Lapierre. And he's also fast on a bike. Upsettingly. Just like everyone is here actually. It's hard to know what to expect, but people are fit these days. I was talking to Jeremy Roy yesterday about how people are stronger on bikes. There's more information, people know how to train better, therefore everyone's level is rising. Professional, amateur, beginner. It's good, it's healthy for the sport. If you're not aware of the Xelius, this is now the 3rd iteration of it in the last 12 years. And it's gone through some major redesign from the SL2, which in 2021 was the current bike. The geometry is much more like the Air Code, so it's a little bit more forward, which is, I suppose, modern these days. More bikes are becoming more aggressive, which is nice for riding. Smile well.
Good job.
Having fun? Do you have fun? Everyone's happy, that's good. Will from Cyclist Magazine, Will Strickson. So, we are the only two Brits here. As I was saying, the bike, complete redesign. I found out a few interesting things which I've been wondering about. The triple triangle is to save weight, 20 grams, but it all adds up. And to add comfort. So, joining the top tube where it does, the seat stays, you no longer need as much carbon. You're joining in an area which means the seat tube is no longer supported, which means it has more flex, making it more comfortable. And the same goes for the seat stays. Because there's not as much material there, it means they can move around a little bit more independently of each other, providing a little bit more comfort when you need it most. Head tube is much stiffer, 1.5 inch bearings, which means you can have completely integrated cables, wires, hoses, making the front of the bike much neater. Because there are only certain sizes here, I've unfortunately only been able to try the 6.8 kilo limited edition bike, which is the same as the team bike. But I'm reassured the other bikes are equally beautiful, and they come in some stunning colours. I love the red and black, but look at this blue purple, absolutely beautiful. Our photographer here. Go. It's looking like I've made the mistake of getting overexcited, going as fast as I could down the first few corners, and now waiting for everyone. I thought I'd hide here, wait for everyone to come around the corner. But doesn't look like that's going to happen. They've stopped at the top for photos. So there are 4 versions of the bike in total. We have the team version, the limited edition version. There are 2 team versions in fact, and then you have the normal consumer version, which is the sort of bike that most of us would probably consider buying. The team version comes in 2 variants, stiff and light. There's only around 20 to 40 grams between the difference in the weight, but the stiffer one's designed for the stronger, sprintier type riders, and the lighter one's designed to be a little bit more responsive when climbing, a little bit more agile for the lighter riders that don't want such a stiff bike. We're halfway up a climb, waiting for the rest of the group, because Elias, an old teammate of mine, and I got into a little bit of a half wheeling competition, so it felt. Where is Elias? It's all Elias's fault. Made the mistake of stopping for a wee and completely forgetting how hard it was talking to the camera uphill. Busy wiping the snot off my face. We've just been towed up a really nice climb to Crosshill, pronounced something like that, possibly not. I could not go any harder. You really quickly forget just how hard climbing is when you don't really do it that often. And also, when do you ever make a sustained effort of however many minutes that was that hard? But it's nice. It's good to feel the bottom of your lungs again. Today is also the last day. It's a 2-day camp, 2-day press camp as it's known. It's a chance for everyone to get a first look at the bike. I don't think it's long enough for anyone to make a true review. I think for that you have to spend a little bit of time with the bike. But it's a chance for journalists, ambassadors, brand managers to have a first look, create a first impression, go back, release some details, some information, and start building a story for later, which is something that happens worldwide. But I think if you ever see a first look at a bike, don't take it as gospel truth as a review, because there simply isn't enough time. You get a first impression, you feel the bike is fast, you feel how it handles, but to build up a review, I think you probably need a good solid week or 10 days, 2 weeks of actually riding the bike in different places, different terrains. You know, the tarmac's really smooth here, so you don't pick up vibrations and things like that. Equally, it's not mega technical, it's nice and smooth and confidence inspiring because it's not really sharp corners or really rough roads. So you get an idea of the neutrality of the bike, like how does it behave, but you don't get a true idea of how the bike's going to handle when you're really pushing it. So yeah, when you see a first look at a bike, take it as a, you know, a first impression, but not an in-depth review. And I think it's quite useful information going forward. But it's a really cool opportunity to ride a lightweight bike. Didn't even race lightweight bikes that often, but this bike weighs 6.8 kilos in size medium, which is of course the size I have, luckily. Obviously slightly larger sizes are slightly heavier. Lots of the weights that you see quoted in the PDF documents that I've flashed on the screen are before the aluminium finishing kits, so things like the threads for the axles. Talking about the axles, the bottom, the dropouts, when I had the air code earlier in the year, I couldn't work out why one side was left open. It wasn't a complete circle, but that's for the Mavic quick release system, so the bike's compatible with that if you change the aluminium inserts that are in the dropouts. So that's quite clever. It means you only need one frame for lots of different systems. And I think that's a big thing for Lapierre, is they could use more expensive carbon fibre, but then the cost of the bike goes up and it limits, you know, the accessibility of the bike to more people. So that's a huge thing. Their mission is to create bikes that offer relative and competitive value compared to other companies. And I think when you look at the price of their top end bikes, you see there is indeed a distinct difference between their prices and other brands. So that was something we learned yesterday. The types of carbon they use are all in the document that will be on screen. So if you're into technicalities like that, I don't know much about carbon fibre, but maybe you do, and maybe you find it interesting to digest. Other things on the bike that I can tell you about. The new Dura-Ace really is a level above. I think blindfolded you'd struggle to tell the difference from Ultegra, but from this version to the previous version of Dura-Ace, there really is a big difference. The way it feels, the brakes have more bite, they're more powerful. It just feels more refined. It is really nice. The satellite shifters up on the one-piece handlebars, obviously really nice as well. Just a nice touch. Everything's integrated really beautifully, and I think that's really cool. And then there's the colours of these bikes. So the bike that I've been riding, you can see the carbon underneath. You can see sort of, it has a lacquer over the top, and then you can see the raw carbon, which I think looks really nice. And the bikes that some of the other guys have been riding, they're really beautiful, the blues, the sparkles. I think that's going to be my favourite. I think that would be my choice if I was to have a long-term bike. Everyone's in a rush to make their flight time. It was taking slightly longer to get up here. I'm all shaky. I'm not sure if that's last night's red wine. I'm not sure if it's the altitude. I suspect not, it's only 1,000 metres. Or if it's just the exertion, trying to keep up with Spanish riders. But it's been good fun. Down the hill now. If you're left with any questions about this whole trip, about the bikes, about manufacturing processes, I'll do my best to answer the questions. I've learned so much whilst being away, I can't possibly convey it all to video. We sat down for a whole morning yesterday to have a presentation or two about everything that goes into these new bikes. So there's information in there. Whether I've managed to get that into the video or not is a completely different matter. Everyone's coming down the mountain now. I really hope you've enjoyed seeing something slightly different from me. I don't think I'm going to have the opportunity to do a load of these. It's the first one I've been on in 20-something years, so let's take that as kind of the gold standard. It's been a really unique opportunity to see something completely different, to see all the information behind the bikes. We can all read about it in magazines, but to see it firsthand from the manufacturer was definitely unique. So a huge thank you to Lapierre UK and to Lapierre as well for having me out here riding bikes in an amazing place. It's been beautiful. The forecast was dire yesterday, and we ended up getting really lucky with the weather. We had no rain at all. To come out and ride with really strong riders, to get half wheeled and dropped almost. It's been, I've really enjoyed it. Hopefully you can tell that as well. See you in the next video. Yeah.